This is my audience. All right. Does the idea of consuming food that has been soaked in chemicals such as glyphosate, which is found in weed killer, it's a known carcinogenic that causes DNA and chromosomal damage to human cells, appeal to you? I would hope not. Consumption of such chemicals can be linked to the development of autism, Alzheimer's, and cancers. Surprisingly, the FDA approves these practices when producing crops which we find in our grocery stores. However, these chemically contaminated crops aren't naturally occurring and are banned in 38 countries and counting. The crops in question will be referred to as GMO crops. GMO stands for genetically modified organism. In reference to crops, plant seed DNA is modified with genetic engineering. The seeds introduce to a gene for bacterial pesticide that kills larval pests. Once this gene is inserted into the seed is resistant to weed killers, such as Roundup. These plants are unnatural and have unknown long-term effects on consumers. Evidence correlates the consumption of these crops with adverse health effects. It's my intention to inform you on the negative consequences these GM crops impose on us, our children, and our earth. As mentioned, dozens of countries, including Japan, Russia, and the entire European Union, are not in favor of consuming crops that are produced in a laboratory, so much so that the growth and sale of such plants is banned. Their reasoning is supported by statistics. One staggering statistic of genetically modified corn versus organic corn is that organic corn is 437% richer in calcium, 56% in magnesium, and 16% in potassium, all of which are vital nutrients. Genetically modified crops clearly are not designed with your health in mind. Further, the only long-term study on the health effects of GM crops contaminated with weed killer was done on rats. The group fed a lifetime diet of chemically tainted GM crops grew 2 to 3 times larger in size than the control group. The GM-fed rats presented severe liver and kidney damage, hormonal disturbances, large cancerous tumors, and died much earlier than the control group. Could this be linked to the first ever decrease in life expectancy than our parents for my generation? Potentially. Also, since the production of genetically modified crops in the mid-90s, childhood disease and disorders are on the rise. Data suggests that this is significantly correlated to the increased presence of weed killer-related chemicals in our food, which our genetically modified crop growth depends on. Unfortunately, our chemical system of a food system we have in America is dependent on GM crops. 90% of all corn, cotton, and soybean in the U.S. are genetically modified. Thus, banning is highly unlikely. If, like me, you desire to eliminate GM foods as much as possible but feel helpless at navigating between the real and the fake at the grocery store, there are moves you can make to help you spot these foods. It's the right of an individual to be able to access the information as to what we feed ourselves and our families. Some honest organic companies mark their packaging with a GMO-free label. This is an example of a GMO-free label. It's that one right there with the butterfly. Non-GMO Project is an unofficial, just kind of nonprofit group, and they will register products as GMO-free just based on the manufacturer's desire to be honest about what they're putting in your food. But the FDA does not require corporations to label that their products contain GMOs. Public opinion reflects that 90% of consumers are for GMO labeling. So it's up to you as a citizen to vote for GMO labeling on the foods we have access to begin a revolution in health and shift away from relying on foods which likely cause health issues and disease. Imagine the possible consequences to human evolution 3 generations from now if any of this short-term lab rat simulated GM diet effects hold true to humans who consume a similar diet but with higher concentrations of Roundup on the crops we eat. If the results of the lab rat experiment reflects what is to come for my generation's health and my children's. I pray I don't fall into the category of terminally ill to be the evidence needed to shift our diet away from chemical foods and back to natural foods. For your own sake and your family's, I urge you to go organic to preserve your health and reduce your risk of serious illness. Whether you shop organic, grow your own organic garden, or frequent farmers markets, always fuel your body with natural food sources that we are biologically designed to consume and metabolize. Look for non-GMO labels. There's a GMO-free version of just about everything. You can find things at Sprouts or Whole Foods that are a GMO-free version of what you would get at King Soopers or Walmart. Also, make nutritional education a priority to yours and your family's lives. Food can be medicine, but it can also be cancer as well.